Dr. Elena Santos stood motionless in the Quantum Observatory's control room, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that dominated the center of the space. The quantum signatures she monitored weren't supposed to exist, at least not according to any known laws of physics. Yet there they were, pulsing with an otherworldly rhythm that spoke of technologies far beyond human understanding. Dr. Santos, the voice of her assistant, David Chen, broke through her concentration. The anomaly is growing stronger. Elena nodded, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface as she adjusted the sensitivity of Project HFY's detection grid. The mysterious signals had appeared 3 days ago, manifesting first as tiny disturbances in the quantum field that surrounded Earth. Now they had grown into unmistakable patterns, like ripples in a pond spreading outward from stones that hadn't yet been thrown. Alert status remains at level 2, she announced, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. But notify the Global Defense Council. They need to see this. The Quantum Observatory, hidden beneath 2 kilometers of rock in the Australian outback, represented humanity's greatest secret. While the world's governments publicly focused on conventional space programs and traditional defense systems, Project HFY had spent the last 15 years preparing for exactly this moment. Within hours, the observatory's secure conference room filled with holographic projections of the world's top military and scientific leaders. General Sarah Zhang, head of the Global Defense Council, spoke first. Dr. Santos, explain what we're looking at. Elena gestured, and the quantum signatures expanded to fill the room. These are temporal wake patterns, consistent with multiple objects decelerating from FTL travel. Based on the scale and complexity, we're looking at a fleet of ships, each roughly the size of a small city. The room erupted in murmurs, but Elena continued. More importantly, they're using quantum scanning technology to probe our solar system. Sophisticated stuff, way beyond anything we've developed. But she allowed herself a small smile. Not beyond what we've prepared for. General Zhang leaned forward, her holographic form shimmering slightly. Project HFY's containment protocols, already active and holding. Elena brought up another display, showing Earth surrounded by an intricate web of quantum interference patterns. Every scan they've sent our way has bounced back exactly what we want them to see, a moderately advanced civilization with conventional technology. No quantum tech, no FTL research, nothing that would make us appear as anything but a typical emerging spacefaring race. Dr. James Morrison, the project's theoretical physics lead, cleared his throat. The quantum camouflage is working better than we hoped. Their scans are actually helping us refine our masking algorithms. The more they look, the less they see. The room fell silent as a new alert flashed across the main display. Elena's hands moved quickly, adjusting the quantum sensors. They're decelerating. Final approach vector suggests they'll enter orbit within the next 6 hours. First contact protocols are ready, General Zhang announced. Every major government knows their role. As far as the world is concerned, this will be humanity's first encounter with alien life. Dr. Santos, Project HFY remains our ace in the hole. Keep it hidden, keep it running, and keep monitoring everything they do. As the holograms winked out one by one, Elena turned back to the quantum display. The alien fleet drew closer, their massive ships now visible to conventional telescopes across Earth. Soon, humanity would put on its greatest performance, playing the role of an awestruck civilization, encountering advanced alien life for the first time. But in the Quantum Observatory, Elena and her team watched the real show, the intricate dance of quantum fields and counterfields, of sophisticated alien scanning technology, unknowingly revealing its own weaknesses as it probed what it thought was a primitive world. David approached with a tablet showing the latest analysis. Their quantum tech is incredible, he mused, but they're overconfident. Every scan follows the same patterns, uses the same frequencies. They're not even looking for countermeasures. Why would they? Elena replied, allowing herself another smile. As far as they know, we're barely into spaceflight. The best part about being underestimated is that your opponents do half your work for you. A new alert sounded. The aliens had begun broadcasting. Their message, transmitted simultaneously in every major human language, echoed through the observatory. People of Earth, we come in peace as representatives of the Meridian Collective. We bring greetings and an offer of protection to your emerging civilization. Alina's quantum displays told a different story. Behind the peaceful words, the alien ships were moving into strategic positions around Earth, their weapons powered but dormant. The quantum scans intensified, probing deeper, searching for any sign of military capabilities. Project HFY's quantum camouflage held firm, feeding the aliens exactly what they expected to see, a vulnerable world ripe for protection. And so it begins, Alina murmured, watching the quantum dance of deception and counter-deception play out across her displays. She had spent 15 years helping build humanity's invisible shield. Now it was time to see if their preparation would pay off. In orbit above, the massive ships of the Meridian Collective settled into position, their crews confident in their technological superiority, unaware that every scan, every transmission, every quantum pulse was being analyzed, decoded, and understood by the silent watchers below. Humanity's greatest advantage lay not in the strength of its weapons, but in its ability to appear weak while gathering strength. The first move had been made. Now it was time to see what game the Meridians were really playing, and whether Project HFY could turn their own overconfidence into humanity's greatest weapon. Commander Marcus Chen watched the Meridian ambassador's hologram float above the United Nations Assembly, its crystalline form refracting light in ways that seemed to defy physics. The alien called itself First Speaker Virix, and its message of peace and protection had captivated most of the world's population. But in the secure command center beneath Geneva, Marcus saw a different picture entirely. Another transmission intercepted. Lieutenant Sarah Hayes reported, her fingers moving across the quantum interface. They're using what they think is an unbreakable quantum encryption, but Project HFY's decryption matrices are pulling it apart in real time. Marcus moved to her station, studying the decoded message. His expression darkened as he read. Send this to Dr. Santos immediately. She needs to see what they're saying about our quantum activity levels. The intercepted communication revealed the Meridians' growing frustration. Their scans had detected trace amounts of quantum activity around Earth, not enough to suggest advanced technology, but more than their models predicted for a civilization at humanity's supposed level of development. In the quantum observatory, Alina Santos received the message with grim satisfaction. They're starting to notice the breadcrumbs we've left them, she told her team. Time to adjust the quantum camouflage. Make it look like random background radiation from solar activity. The real genius of Project HFY lay not in its ability to hide humanity's quantum technology completely, that would have been impossible, but in its capacity to make that technology appear natural, unremarkable, and most importantly, uncontrolled. Above Earth, the Meridian fleet continued its show of benevolent protection. Their ships, each one a masterpiece of crystalline engineering, maintained their strategic positions while conducting what they called routine security surveys. But Project HFY's quantum sensors revealed the truth. They were mapping every military installation, every power plant, every potential point of resistance. They're getting sloppy, Marcus observed, watching the pattern of scans. Their first surveys were comprehensive, but now they're focusing only on military targets. They're not even bothering to hide their interest anymore. A priority alert flashed across his screen. Another decoded transmission, this one from the Meridian flagship to their homeworld. The message confirmed their worst fears. Earth was being evaluated for protective integration, a process that had been applied to 17 other civilizations in the past decade alone. Alina's voice came through the quantum-encrypted channel. Commander, you need to see this. We've finished analyzing the quantum signatures from their previous conquests. The pattern is always the same. They offer protection, identify strategic targets, then launch a simultaneous strike that cripples any possibility of resistance. Marcus nodded grimly. How long do we have? Based on their previous operations, no more than 3 days. They're already positioning their fleet for optimal weapons coverage. The commander allowed himself a small smile. Perfect. Everything according to the timeline we projected. How's the quantum web coming along? Elena's response carried a note of pride. Full coverage achieved 12 hours ago. Every satellite in Earth's orbit is now part of Project ECJO's quantum network. The Meridians think they're seeing weather satellites and communication relays, but each one is a node in our defensive grid. But in the secure facilities hidden beneath the Earth's surface, humanity's true technological achievement continued its silent work. Project ECJO's quantum web grew stronger with each passing hour, learning from every scan the Meridians made, adapting its camouflage to become even more convincing. New transmission intercepted, Lieutenant Hayes announced. They're requesting permission to establish ground bases, multiple locations, all near major population centers. Marcus exchanged looks with his senior staff. This too had been predicted, the final step before the Meridians would attempt their takeover. Time to implement Phase 2, he ordered. Let's show them exactly what they expect to see. An eager, grateful, and completely naive humanity ready to welcome their new protectors. In her quantum observatory, Elena began the delicate process of adjusting Project ECJO's parameters. The quantum web would need to be perfect for what came next. As she worked, she thought about the Meridians' fundamental mistake. They had assumed that any civilization less advanced than theirs would be incapable of innovation in areas they hadn't considered. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength lay not in matching the Meridians' technology, but in developing something entirely different, something they wouldn't see coming until it was too late. Above, the crystalline ships continued their silent watch, their crews confident in their superiority, unaware that every moment brought them closer to the trap humanity had spent 15 years preparing. The game of deception was entering its final phase, and Earth's quantum web was ready to show the galaxy why appearances could be deceiving. The quantum display in Elena's observatory lit up like a constellation as First Speaker Virex's ground teams began their survey of Earth's major cities. Each crystalline shuttle that descended through the atmosphere triggered new patterns in Project ECJO's detection grid, revealing capabilities that the Meridians had carefully concealed from their public demonstrations. They're not just scanning for technology, Elena murmured, studying the complex quantum signatures. They're mapping human behavior patterns, social structures, resistance potential. She turned to David, who was coordinating with defense stations worldwide. How are the quantum masking protocols holding up? Perfect, he replied, a hint of pride in his voice. Every time they scan deeper, the quantum web adapts. It's learning from their attempts to understand us. That was Project ECJO's true genius, not just concealment, but adaptation. The quantum technology that humanity had developed didn't fight against the Meridian scans. It worked with them, using their own curiosity against them. In Geneva, Commander Chen monitored the Meridian ground team's movements across a global tactical display. They're following the exact pattern we predicted, he reported to the Global Defense Council, starting with military installations, then moving to communication hubs, power facilities, and government centers. General Zhang's hologram nodded grimly. And our primitive defenses, performing exactly as planned. Their scans are detecting our conventional military capabilities, missiles, aircraft, orbital satellites. Nothing that would worry them, everything that would encourage them. A new alert flashed across the quantum network. Elena's hands flew across her interface, adjusting parameters as she analyzed the data. Commander, they've started deploying quantum beacon arrays around their ground bases. They're building a control network. This was the moment they'd been waiting for. The Meridian's quantum beacons were meant to establish a dominance grid, a network of control points that could instantly neutralize any resistance when they made their move. But they had never deployed such a system against a civilization that understood quantum technology better than they did. Fascinating, Elena observed, watching the alien quantum network take shape. Their entire system operates on a predictable frequency pattern. They've never needed to hide it before. No one they've conquered could even detect it, let alone counter it. In orbit, the Meridian ships continued their choreographed dance, adjusting positions minutely as their ground forces worked. To conventional sensors, they appeared to be maintaining a protective screen around Earth. Project HFY's quantum sensors revealed their true deployment, a firing solution that could target every major population center simultaneously. New transmission intercepted, Lieutenant Hayes announced in Geneva. They're impressed with our cooperation. They think we're falling for everything. Commander Chen allowed himself a small smile. Send them exactly what they want to see. Grateful acceptance, eager participation, and just enough questions to seem appropriately primitive. The next phase began with a calculated risk. During a routine scan of South America, one of Project HFY's quantum nodes allowed a tiny spike of energy to show through, just enough to trigger the Meridian sensors, but not enough to raise serious alarm. The response was immediate. 3 Meridian shuttles diverted to investigate, their scanning systems at full power. They found exactly what Project HFY wanted them to find. Traces of what appeared to be failed experiments with quantum technology, long abandoned. They're transmitting to their flagship, Elena reported, monitoring the quantum chatter. They think they found evidence of early quantum research that we gave up on years ago. They're actually amused. They're calling it cute. This was the beauty of Project HFY's deception. Every discovery the Meridians made reinforced their preconceptions. They found exactly what they expected. A young civilization that had brushed against advanced concepts, but lacked the sophistication to develop them. In her observatory, Elena watched as the Meridian quantum beacon network grew more complex. Each new node they added was instantly mapped, analyzed, and understood by Project HFY's systems. The aliens were building their cage, unaware that every bar they added gave humanity more insight into their technology. Final beacon array deployed, David announced. Their control network is complete. They think they have us completely surrounded. Elena nodded, her expression serious. And we've mapped every frequency, every protocol, every weakness. Their net is strong, but only against the threats they're expecting. Commander Chen's voice came through the quantum encrypted channel. Time estimate. Based on their previous patterns and current deployments, they'll move within 24 hours, Elena replied. They finished positioning their ships, their ground teams are in place, and their quantum network is operational. They think they're ready. In orbit, the crystalline ships of the Meridian fleet gleamed in the sunlight, their weapons powered but dormant, their crews confident in their absolute superiority. Below them, their quantum beacon network pulsed with power, ready to paralyze a civilization that had never shown any sign of understanding such technology. But wrapped around the Earth, invisible to their sensors, Project HFY's quantum web continued its patient work. Every scan they made, every transmission they sent, every quantum pulse they generated was absorbed, analyzed, and added to humanity's understanding of their systems. The Meridians had come to Earth expecting to find prey. They had no way of knowing they had walked into a trap 15 years in the making. As their countdown to conquest began, humanity's own countdown reached its final hours. The question wasn't whether Earth could resist, but whether the Meridians would realize their mistake in time to save themselves from what was coming. The message from the Meridian flagship arrived exactly as Earth's quantum analysts had predicted. First Speaker Virex's crystalline form materialized simultaneously in government chambers worldwide, its usual diplomatic shimmer replaced by something harder, more imperial. People of Earth, the alien began, its translator carrying new undertones of authority. The Meridian Collective has completed its evaluation of your civilization. We have determined that immediate protective integration is necessary for your survival. In the Quantum Observatory, Elena watched the real message hidden beneath the diplomatic veneer. Activation signals pulsing through the Meridian's quantum beacon network, preparing to lock down every major population center on Earth. Their confidence is almost impressive, she commented to David, watching the quantum signatures cascade across her displays. They haven't even bothered to check if their control frequencies could be compromised. Commander Chen's voice came through the secure channel from Geneva. Status of their fleet. Moving into attack positions, Elena replied, studying Project Ikiko's sensor readings. Weapons powering up, shields at maximum. They're positioning themselves exactly where we need them to be. Above Earth, the crystalline ships of the Meridian Fleet spread out in a precise geometric pattern, their formation designed to provide overlapping fields of fire while maintaining maximum defensive coverage. To their sensors, the planet below remained as it had been, a helpless world about to receive the gift of Meridian protection, whether it wanted it or not. Virix continued its announcement, its tone growing more commanding with each word. The integration process will begin immediately. For your own safety, we ask that all military forces stand down and that all government authorities submit to Meridian oversight. Resistance will be met with immediate correction. In Geneva, Commander Chen exchanged glances with General Zhang's hologram. They're right on schedule. Shall we show them our response? The general's smile was grim. Give them exactly what they're expecting. Make it convincing. Across Earth, military bases erupted in carefully choreographed chaos. Missile silos opened, fighters scrambled, and radar stations tracked the Meridian Fleet with their primitive sensors. It was humanity's expected response to the threat. Exactly what the Meridians had seen 17 other civilizations do before their fall. They're launching, Lieutenant Hayes announced, monitoring the conventional military channels. Multiple missiles from silos across the globe, all armed with conventional warheads, all following the predetermined trajectories. The Meridian response was instantaneous and exactly as anticipated. Their ship's energy shields flared with brilliant light, effortlessly vaporizing the incoming missiles. Virix's hologram took on an expression that might have been pity. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us, the alien declared. Submit now, and we will be merciful. Continue this futile resistance, and we will be forced to demonstrate our full power. Elena's quantum displays lit up with new energy signatures. They're activating their beacon network, she reported, preparing to initiate planetary lockdown, just like they did with all the others. Commander Chen's voice was steady. Project ECHO status. Quantum web at full power, Elena replied, her fingers dancing across her interface. Every node is linked, every frequency mapped. We're ready. The Meridian ships began their final deployment, spreading out to cover every major city on Earth. Their sensors showed exactly what they expected. Panicked military responses, futile attempts at resistance, and the chaos of a primitive civilization facing superior technology. What they couldn't see was Project ECHO's quantum web, its invisible strands wrapping around their ships, penetrating their shields, and reading the very code of their technology. 15 years of preparation had led to this moment. They're starting the lockdown sequence, Elena announced, watching the cascade of quantum signals from the Meridian beacons. 3 minutes until their control grid activates. In chambers across the world, Virix's hologram delivered the collective's final warning. Your resistance has been noted. We will now demonstrate the consequences of defying the Meridian Collective. Perhaps after you witness our power, you will understand the futility of your position. Energy began building in the Meridian ship's main weapons, enough power to level cities, to break any resistance before it could begin. Their quantum beacons pulsed with increasing strength, preparing to paralyze Earth's military forces and communication systems. 30 seconds to lockdown. Elena counted down, her voice steady. All Project ECHO nodes in position. Quantum resonance patterns locked. Commander Chen's order came through clear and precise. Execute phase final. In her observatory, Elena took a deep breath and entered the command that humanity had spent 15 years preparing. Project HFY's quantum web, until now invisible and passive, began to change. The Meridian sensors registered the shift too late. Their quantum beacons, instead of projecting a control grid around Earth, found their signals caught in a web of impossible complexity. Their ships, preparing to fire, suddenly detected quantum anomalies that shouldn't exist. In orbit, the crystalline vessels of the Meridian fleet hung suspended in space, their crews frantically trying to understand what was happening. They had come to Earth expecting to find another primitive civilization ready for conquest. Instead, they had walked into a trap that had been waiting for them since before they arrived. The final phase of Project HFY was about to begin, and the Meridian Collective was about to learn why underestimating humanity had been their greatest mistake. First Speaker Vyrex's hologram flickered as the quantum disturbance spread through the Meridian Fleet's communication network. For the first time, the alien's crystalline form showed something new: uncertainty. "What is this?" Virex demanded, its translator unable to hide the shock in its voice. "Your civilization does not possess this level of quantum technology. This is impossible." In the quantum observatory, Elena allowed herself a small smile as she watched Project HFY's web unfold its full potential. "That's the problem with assumptions," she murmured. "They tend to break at the worst possible moment." The quantum web that humanity had spent 15 years developing wasn't just a defensive shield. It was a living network that had learned from every scan, every transmission, and every quantum pulse the Meridians had sent. Now it turned that knowledge back against them. "All nodes synchronized," David reported, his hand steady on the quantum interface. "The Meridian fleet is completely enveloped. Their quantum beacon network has been absorbed into our control matrix." Commander Chen's voice came through from Geneva. "Show them exactly what they've walked into." Elena's fingers danced across her controls, implementing the final phase of Project HFY. The quantum web shifted, its energy patterns transforming from passive observation to active control. Every Meridian ship found itself caught in a quantum field that negated their advanced technology, turning their own control systems against them. In orbit, the crystalline vessels of the Meridian fleet hung powerless, their weapons dead, their shields fluctuating wildly. The quantum technology they had relied on for centuries of conquest now responded to a different master. "Impossible." Vyrex's hologram raged, its form destabilizing as Project HFY's influence grew. "You are primitives. We monitored your development. We saw your failed attempts at quantum research." "You saw what we wanted you to see," Elena replied, opening a direct channel to the Meridian flagship. "You saw the reflection of your own assumptions, carefully crafted and presented for your approval." The quantum displays showed the full extent of humanity's victory. The Meridian ship's own systems were now part of Project HFY's network, their quantum beacons repurposed to strengthen Earth's control rather than establish their own. Commander Chen's voice carried across all channels, addressing the Meridian fleet. "Your ships are now under our control. Your weapons have been neutralized. Your quantum network belongs to us. The choice you face is simple: peaceful withdrawal or forced demonstration of just how completely we've mastered your technology." In the quantum observatory, Elena watched as the Meridian's internal communications erupted in chaos. Their entire strategic doctrine had been based on technological superiority, on the assumption that younger civilizations could never match their quantum mastery. Now they faced the reality that humanity hadn't tried to match them. They had surpassed them in ways they hadn't even considered possible. "Their flagship is attempting to activate emergency protocols," David reported. "Should we let them see what happens?" Elena nodded. "Let them try." The Meridian flagship's quantum core surged with power as it attempted to break free. Project HFY's web responded instantly, absorbing the energy and channeling it back through the fleet's own systems. The massive crystalline vessel shuddered as its own power was used to reinforce its captivity. Perhaps, Alina suggested, addressing Vyrex's still flickering hologram, it's time to discuss a different kind of relationship between our civilizations, one based on mutual respect rather than assumed superiority. The quantum sensors detected a shift in the Meridian Fleet's power signatures, weapons powering down, shields deactivating, systems returning to standby. In the face of complete technological defeat, even their arrogance had limits. Vyrex's hologram stabilized, its crystalline form dulled by the revelation of its civilization's vulnerability. The Meridian Collective requests dialogue with Earth's leadership. In Geneva, Commander Chen exchanged looks with General Zhang. 15 years of preparation, just for this moment, the general mused. To show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't in our weapons or our shields. It's in our ability to think beyond conventional assumptions, Chen finished. To turn our perceived weakness into our greatest advantage. Project HFY's quantum web continued its silent vigil, maintaining control over the Meridian Fleet while humanity's leaders prepared for negotiations. The crystalline ships that had arrived as conquerors would depart as equals, or possibly as inferiors, their quantum technology now understood better by humanity than by its original creators. Alina stood in her observatory, watching the quantum dance she had helped orchestrate. Send word to the other research sites, she instructed David. Tell them it's time to begin Phase Echo. Let's show our friends from the stars just how many other surprises we've been preparing. Above Earth, the Meridian Fleet floated powerless, their crystalline forms catching the sunlight like scattered diamonds. They had come to Earth expecting to find another primitive civilization ready for conquest. Instead, they had discovered that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was the patience to wait, the intelligence to learn, and the wisdom to show strength only when the moment was perfect. The age of humanity hiding its true capabilities was over. Project HFY had done more than protect Earth. It had announced humanity's arrival on the Galactic stage in a way that no civilization would ever forget. The message was clear: underestimate humanity at your own risk. In the Quantum Observatory, Alina began preparing the briefing that would reveal to the world just how protected they had always been. The stars above were full of wonders and dangers, but humanity had proven it was ready for both. Project HFY's quantum web stretched out into space, a silent guardian ready to echo any threat back to its source, ensuring that Earth would never again be seen as an easy target for conquest. The future had arrived, and humanity had shaped it on their own terms.